Welcome, boys and ghouls. You've stumbled into the lair of terror where darkness and silk thread together. A tale that will spin you into the shadows. Tonight we dive deep into the Edo era of Japan, a place of delicate beauty and unspeakable horrors. Our little story stars a young Maiko named Aika, whose life unravels in ways more twisted than her cursed kimono. But beware, the night isn't over when the blood stops flowing. Oh no, that's just the beginning.
The Silk of Shadows. In the quiet hills beyond the ancient gates of Edo, there stood a hidden geisha house, renowned not for its artistry, but for the dark secrets that whispered through its tatami floors. It was to this house that a young girl named Aika was sold at the tender age of 4, her fate sealed by the poverty of her family and the greedy hands of men. From the moment her small feet stepped inside, the world became a theater of cruelty, cloaked in beauty. Her youth was stripped away by harsh training, her innocence traded for obedience to the will of her patrons. Years passed, and at 14, she was bestowed with a black and purple Maiko kimono, heavy with the silk that weighed precisely 6.66 pounds. The garment was a masterpiece of craftsmanship, but it clung to her like a curse. The silk shimmered ominously under moonlight as if it absorbed the shadows around her, pulling them closer to her frail frame. Yet it wasn't the weight of the silk that burdened Aika. It was the cost. Thousands of silkworms had died to weave the kimono, and in her heart she felt the stirrings of their restless souls. At night, when the house slept, she would hear them whispering in the folds of the fabric, their voices barely audible, but growing stronger with each passing day. By the time Aika turned 18, her soul had become as threadbare as the silk that bound her. That frightful night, a man with violent eyes entered the geisha house, his presence casting a chill over the evening. He demanded Aika's company, and though she trembled, she obeyed. In the secluded room, she knelt before him, her head bowed, her eyes downcast. His cruelty came without warning, brutal and swift, and by the time the night had ended, Aika's life had been stolen, like a moth caught in the flame. Her body was found the next morning, draped in the black and purple kimono, her face serene in death, but her eyes wide open, as if staring into a void that none could see. The man vanished, leaving behind nothing but bloodstains and the stench of violence. But death for Aika was not the end. In the stillness of her burial, beneath the cold earth, her spirit awoke, fueled by the suffering she had endured. Her soul rose, wrapped in the cursed silk that now shimmered in a dark, ethereal glow. Her transformation into a vengeful ghost began. Her purpose clear: justice for those like her, for the innocent girl sold into lives of torture and death. Like the silkworm, Aika shed the love of life in her cocoon of death, dropping the I from her name and taking on the she of death, to become Shika, the wrathful ghost. While the moth's life may be more beautiful in flight than it was as a crawling worm, it forebodes not a beginning, but an end fast approaching. From that day on, those who preyed on the young and innocent were haunted by her presence. She would appear in the dead of night, her once beautiful kimono, now a shroud of darkness, her pale face framed by the swirling spirits of the silkworms who had woven her doom. Her victim's final warning came in the form of hell moths, black-winged creatures that fluttered silently through the air, their eyes gleaming with the wicked souls they carried to the land of Yomi. The first to fall was the man who had ended her life. Alone in his home, he heard the flutter of wings at his window. When he peered outside, he saw the hell moths swarming, their tiny bodies pressing against his expensive glass window like a writhing black mass. Panic seized him, and in the silence that followed, a whisper echoed through the room. Justice for the silenced. Sheikah appeared, her spectral form cloaked in the shadows of the moths. Her black and purple kimono drifted about her like a specter of silk and vengeance. His screams were swallowed by the night as she reached out, her cold fingers brushing his skin, dragged him into the darkness from which there was no escape. Word spread quickly through the underworld. Men who had mistreated young girls began to live in fear, dreading the flutter of moth wings, for they knew it was the harbinger of Sheikah's wrath. One by one they disappeared, taken by the vengeful spirit that would not rest until all those who profited from the suffering of the innocent were brought to justice. And so, Sheikah's legend grew. A tale whispered in the shadows of Edo. The geisha house, where she had suffered and died, eventually closed its doors, abandoned to the restless passage of time. Yet her presence lingered, the silken rustle of her cursed kimono haunting the air, a reminder that some debts are paid not with money, but with blood and soul. To this day, in the deepest corners of Japan's history, it is said that the hell moths still flutter, and when their wings are heard, the cruel must prepare. Sheikah is coming to collect what is owed.
Oh, what a tale of twisted threads and haunted hearts. But don't you worry, dear kitties. Your good old Crypt Keeper has a treat to go with that trick of a story. This little story inspired a 6-track LP. So look for Sheikah's Revenge wherever you scream your music. It's an album to die for. Warlocks are more trick than treat when it comes to paying bards, but if a whole bunch of you ghouls and goblins out there listen to these songs, then they could toss some coins at this little creeper. My deal with Sheikah is that I will give 5 of every 6 coins this album and its songs earns to the Red Umbrella Fund that supports worker rights. I need that last coin to keep bribing Charon, or it's a one-way trip, Styx ferry ride for your creeper, and I don't want that. So what are you waiting for? Spin those tracks and let the spirits of Silk guide your way. After all, death and justice are always in fashion.